So perhaps you've been hearing about the idea of self-love, and you've been told that you need to love yourself before others can love you. Well, there's a bit of truth in that, but there's also a bit of a flaw. In the previous video, I mentioned about how love is basically the life force of the universe. It's what energizes us, it's what empowers us to not just to breathe and for our hearts to beat, but for us to really thrive and flourish on our journey throughout this planet. So it's a very important concept, and with that is the idea that love happens as an exchange between two different beings, two different entities. So if it's two people, you have two people where one is providing an exchange of their life force to the other person, and that person then is growing through that life force, and they're able to flourish and find fulfillment. So when we talk about the idea of self-love, then we're now talking about something entirely different. If you think about your love center as being like a battery that needs to be recharged from time to time, if in the idea of self-love, how does a battery recharge itself? The answer is that it can't. The battery needs to tap and connect to another source that can then recharge it, and has a sort of current flowing through it that allows it to be able to replenish itself. So love works exactly the same way. In order for you to find that sort of self-love that you're looking for, you have to tap to your source, your higher source, and you have to learn to connect with that part of you which is eternal, which is divine, which is not just living here in the here and now, but has existed outside and exists outside of space and time. When you connect to that higher source, the next step is really to open yourself to that higher source, to allow that love current, that energy to flow through you. Without that connection to the higher source, what's going to happen is that you're going to try and love yourself, but it's never going to really feel fulfilling. It'll be more like trying to sort of give yourself a pep talk, as opposed to really finding yourself truly energized and truly rejuvenated in love. You have to connect to that higher source of love energy in order to open that channel to allow it to flow through you to others. And so the process of love is actually the opposite of the process of the rest of the world, where the rest of the world lives in a fend for yourself type of mentality. The idea with love is that we have to make ourselves vulnerable. We have to surrender to it. We have to let go of the fight for ourselves to allow this love energy, this life force, to fill us, to protect us, to care for us, nurture us, guide us, everything single thing else that we might need and want. It's only when we surrender to it that we give control over to that life force energy, that it begins to fill us and replenish us, and then we begin to get the perspective on where we should go next, what we should do, and how we should live. So it has to be in that flow. Now, the other aspect about a battery that's really interesting as an analogy here is that a battery isn't just one cable that connects to it and it just soaks up this energy. What it does is it creates a flow. It creates a flow of energy in and a flow of energy out. And it's through that process of the energy flowing through the battery that it's able to recharge itself in the process. And so one of the best ways to really energize yourself is to get in a state of love flow, where you're not just in a state of receiving, give me, I need, and this feeling of being insufficient, but that you are, as you're receiving, you are giving to others. So what you should be doing while you are opening yourself and surrendering yourself to the love of the divine is you should also be sensitive and aware to where the divine is trying to guide you to love others. It's not really like these things come separately, they have to come together. So as you're receiving, you're also giving. As you're receiving, you're giving some more. And the more freely that you give, the more freely that you can receive, to the point where it's like you're not even working on battery power anymore. There's just this constant current of love energy, of life force that is flowing through you. I hope that made sense. I want to talk a little bit more in the next video about how to connect this concept to your relationships and how to really find love and fulfillment within your relationships.